This is the Michelangelo Signorile Show on Sirius XM OutQ 108.
Welcome back. I'm Michelangelo Signorile on Sirius XM OutQ 108. A group of lesbians have formed a super PAC for about and focused on lesbians, and particularly lesbian issues. Chicago Cubs co-owner Laura Ricketts, one of the women, joined by Jane Lynch, of course, of Glee, Billie Jean King, founded LPAC, Lesbian Political Action Committee, a super PAC that will really push lesbian rights and women's rights and back politicians who are going to stand up and speak out on behalf of lesbian issues, gay rights, of course, and women's rights. Joining me to talk all about it is Sarah Schmidt, Chair and Treasurer of LPAC. She is a philanthropist and founder and principal of Sarah Schmidt Consulting, and joins us to talk all about LPAC. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a bit about how this all began and why it's important to have a super PAC that lesbians fund and that focuses on lesbian issues.
Last fall, a small group of women began gathering in New York to think about an idea that lifelong activist Urvashi Vaught had. And her idea was a super PAC. And a small group of us started meeting once a month in the fall to see if this concept could have legs, if we could make it work, if it had feasibility. And the more we met, the more convinced we were that not only was it the right thing to do, that the timing was perfect, but we started to talk to other women and people wanted to get engaged. And we really felt like it could take off. And so we began a full force effort to fundraise for the PAC and develop, a structure around it.
Well, and Urvashi Vaught, of course, somebody who has been very, very active in the LGBT rights battle for many, many years. She was the head of the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force. Why did she and why did others believe that there needed to be a super PAC focused specifically on lesbian issues? I mean, certainly we have a lot of money being raised focused on the broader LGBT or specific issues in gay rights. Why was there a need for one focused on lesbian issues?
I think Urvashi and the group that was meeting and the women we talked to subsequently all felt like lesbian voices were getting lost in within some of those groups or in the conversation, and that some of our issues were more unique, and that we wanted our voices to be heard differently, and we also wanted to figure out a way to engage more lesbians in the political process. We all knew lots of lesbians who cared passionately about different issues, but we're having a hard time figuring out how to plug in, how to get engaged, how to make their voices heard. And so that was the impetus for a specific lesbian PAC. But also we're looking at the landscape and seeing this dramatic window of opportunity to counter the onslaught that we were feeling around our rights, both our rights as women and our rights as lesbians being under attack. And this was the fall. If you remember in the Republican primary, the issues they were focused on were all, what can we take away from women? How can we eliminate rights that women have enjoyed for decades, that lesbians have enjoyed for decades?
Talk a little bit about how, because I think for a lot of people listening, they've heard super PAC out there, in the media. They've certainly heard it sometimes with a negative connotation as well. Talk a little bit about what a super PAC does, how this kind of a super PAC works, and how people can get involved. Because I think they also think about this is all about very wealthy people.
Yeah, and that's what really makes LPAC different. We are a super PAC, just by the nature of how we're structured, the way the accounts are structured, and how we can contribute to campaigns. both on the federal and the state level. That's a super PAC is just a name for the kind of structure that one adopts as a PAC. But what makes this PAC very different is that we're raising money from donors from very large to very small dollars all across the country. That what we're building is a grassroots campaign to attract contributors, to attract people who want to be engaged in the conversation about their basic human rights. This isn't just 6 or 8 women throwing in multi-millions of dollars. It's hundreds and thousands of women giving what they can to engage and to engage not just in the 2012 cycle and not just engage around one campaign, but to engage in the fight for their rights.
So how does somebody get involved? Somebody listening who says, you know what, I want to support this. What do they do?
Well, they go to teamlpac.com. That's our main source of information and communication about the PAC, and they can read about what we're about, and most importantly, they can sign up and they can donate. And then, what we're doing is just making an effort to keep people in communication, learning about what the issues are, how they can engage at their level, and that communication is going to be ongoing as we get closer to the election and beyond this cycle.
It really also, I think, helps to really show how there are a lot of lesbians who are very organized, and particularly many well-known lesbians who are very politically active and who really see this as civic involvement that everybody should follow. And I think it's great when they see people like Billie Jean King or people like Jane Lynch, who they know, getting involved. I think it helps to really make other people think about getting involved as well.
I think you're right on. I mean, these are women who have, been, their lives have been very public. And I think in that role, they are particularly aware of what is on the line right now. And, in an incredibly generous way, they're aware of how lending their support will encourage other women to do the same. I mean, it's kind of a big deal to come out. I mean, it's a huge deal to come out, and then, to come out in support of political candidates and get engaged in this process and educate yourself on these issues and advocate on behalf of the community. It's a huge decision. And so we're thrilled to have those women supporting us. But we're also equally energized by the support we've received from thousands of women all over the country, and from Texas, from the Carolinas, from Ohio, who are emailing and telling us about LPAC and how it's inspiring them, who are sending donations. It's just been a really exciting 10 or 12 days since I launched.
Who are some of the other well-known people associated with it? I had mentioned Laura Ricketts, who is the co-owner of the Chicago Cubs, and Billie Jean King and Jane Lynch. Who are some of the others?
Well, we've received some emails, and we're reaching out and communicating with a number of other very well-known lesbians, and I would expect in the coming days you'll see their endorsements on our website. But we're also excited to have Alex Ritchie, who is a longtime activist and former owner of the Provincetown Banner, who has been involved from the very beginning in this effort. And it's just a really great, diverse group of women who have great skills and talents and are all engaging.
Who are some of the candidates that LPAC is looking at? Obviously, Tammy Baldwin, openly lesbian member of Congress, now running for an open Senate seat in Wisconsin, would become the first openly gay or lesbian senator in the United States, and somebody who's really been out front on LGBT rights. In addition to Tammy Baldwin, who are some of the candidates you're looking at?
So we have not released our slate of candidates yet that LPAC plans to endorse, and over the next couple weeks we will be going live with that slate. But we're trying to be very smart and very methodical about where and when we target both elected candidates and campaigns. And we've engaged with a team of very skilled strategists to help us analyze this political landscape and identify state, federal candidates, and then also ballot campaigns that are going to be need our support in the 2012 cycle. And we'll be announcing that in the next couple weeks.
And will those candidates be those who specifically focus on women's rights and lesbian rights? Or you mentioned ballot campaigns. Obviously, some of those affect the broader LGBT community.
So LPAC is a values-based PAC, and we are going to support candidates and get engaged with campaigns that are consistent with our values. And those are kind of three main points of focus: LGBT rights for individuals and their families, and ending discriminatory treatment for our community. And then secondly, we want to support candidates that are championing sexual and reproductive freedom and women's access to quality health care. And then third, we're excited to engage with candidates around issues of social, racial, economic justice for all Americans. And so there are a number of campaigns and ballot initiatives that apply to these issues as well. I mean, we've seen personhood ballot fights. We're seeing ballot fights related to access to reproductive health care. And then we're certainly seeing a number of ballot initiatives that are around marriage and marriage rights for same-sex couples in a number of states.
Mm-hmm. And I read that you hope to raise $1 million for candidates. You said that you are getting a lot of response around the country. Are you confident you're going to be able to raise that kind of money or more?
I am. I'm extremely confident. I mean, it's going to take people, going online and donating. There's just no question that we've got to be all in on this effort. But
and of course, you're taking money from men as well.
We are taking money from anyone who wants to engage in this effort, and it's been exciting. You can give if you're straight too, Mike. I mean,
That's
it's just amazing how many opportunities there are to reach out to people, and it's been exciting to hear from men and women, gay and straight, young and old, who all say, yeah, these issues really resonate with me, and I want to be part of a grassroots effort. I want to feel like I can do something and engage, and maybe be part of a larger group whose voice is really heard. I mean, this really is resonating with a diverse set of Americans, and that's very exciting.
Well,
and we're gonna hit our goal. I think we're gonna exceed it.
Wow. I really salute you. It's such a great thing, and it works all around, just on so many different levels, and it's great to see people getting involved. So thanks so much for coming on, and we'd love to have you back as you move forward, as you announce candidates. We'd love to really talk to you again.
Well, I would love that too, and thanks for the time. We really appreciate the fact that you wanted to spend a little bit of time on this today.
Oh, absolutely. I want to tell everybody to go to teamlpac.com and check it out. The Lesbian Political Action Committee, LPAC. Sarah Schmidt, Chair and Treasurer. Thank you so much again for coming on.
The Michelangelo Signorile Show.
No limits, no boundaries.
On Sirius XM OutQ 108.